Hey everyone, welcome back to another World of Warships Blitz video. So the patch notes for 8.3 dropped this morning. And it's taken me forever to try to get this video recorded because there's so much I want to say. I got a lot of opinions about this update. First off, guys, I think this is a good update. I know there's ships coming out in here that a lot of you are unhappy about. Let's wait until they get released before we complain about them. Don't light your torches yet. Keep the pitchforks up on the wall. Let's see what they look like on release. But the rest of 8.3 looks really solid. And guys, I was not BSing you in January when I said I'm giving this game a certain amount of time, a certain amount of updates to see how things are progressing to whether or not I'm going to keep playing it. Looking at 8.3 and knowing some other stuff going on in the background, I'm still here. I'm still going to play the game. I like the direction things are going. That's what I'm going to say with that. 8.3 is going to drop next Wednesday, guys. Maddie is going to do another live stream during the server downtime. She's going to have some giveaways from what I understand. Check it out if you guys are awake for it. I know it happens kind of early, especially if you're on the NA server. All right, matchmaking, guys. We know matchmaking's complicated, mainly because of player skill. That's a tough one to figure out. You know, you just can't look at it straight as win rates and skill-based matchmaking that way without potentially introducing other problems. One problem that was an easy fix: capping out how many teams can be on one side. After the update drops, you're only going to be able to see one 3-player team or two 2-player teams aside. No more of this having a 3-player team and a 2-player team on one side versus 7 solo randoms, or worse yet, having 2 3-player teams on the side versus 7 solo randoms. Not going to happen after this update drops. All right, the Black Ship update. They're giving new consumables to the Black Ships. From what I've seen from some screenshots from the NetEase that were screenshotted off of a NetEase server somewhere, looks like we're getting 2 new repair kits that are going to be premium for your Black Ships. One looks like it's going to be a St. Vincent Super Heal where you're limited to 2 repair kits going into battle. And the other repair kit looks like it's going to be you're going to go into battle with 4 repair kits. They're going to have a shorter duration of heal, but they're going to have a much shorter cooldown time. I haven't had a chance to look at these guys at this yet. As soon as I get a chance to look at it, I'll report back and I'll let you know what I think. September, Clockwork Armada. We're going to have like a steampunk version Theme Blitz Pass with a Tier 9 German destroyer as a Blitz Pass ship. So that's going to be a pretty, I think it's going to be a pretty nice Blitz Pass. We'll have to take a peek at the ship. I heard there's some interesting stuff about it, but obviously I haven't seen it yet in action. October's Blitz Pass. Obviously we're going into a Halloween theme one with a Dark Fantasy Saga. That ship's going to be the Tier 8 U.S. Battleship to Connecticut, which is a variant of the Nebraska. So we're getting, unfortunately, another flight deck in the game. But I'm curious to see what the ship looks like. Obviously, with new Blitz Passes in months, we get new collection book pages. At first, I was maybe a little upset about losing the 7 days of premium for the 2 items collected, but I need to wait and see what the camouflages look like. I don't know about you guys, but I do need grinding camos, and these have a couple of nice skills on them with some decent bonuses. I won't be that upset to see a month-long camouflage. Obviously, we got some unique camouflages coming out. The most unplayed ship at Tier 10 is getting a pretty sick-looking camo. I like it. We'll talk about that more later, though. St. Vincent, Enterprise, Ashitaka is getting some camouflages. There's the Connecticut. Instead of having Nebraska's 2 triple turrets, we're getting 2 quad turrets. We'll go more about that here in the descriptions. There is the German Tier 9 destroyer we're going to get in the Blitz Pass. Looks like a Fletcher. Again, I heard there's some interesting stuff about this ship. Russian battleship for a super ship. Alright. Like I said, guys, let's see how these ships drop, or what they look like upon release before we go nuts about them. The Hildebrand. Obviously, this thing was an absolute menace in PC with its rocket bombers and just ridiculous utility in PC. Well, we'll see. Well, like I said, guys, let's just see how it releases, and we'll go from there. A Spanish destroyer with an interesting sounding skill, anyways. Another one, guys. Let's wait and see how this releases before we go nuts about it. Shinano, the Tier 10 Japanese aircraft carrier. We're getting Tennessee, and we're getting some unique camos for the early access of the even tier French DD tech line. Some more epic commanders, couple legendaries, some portraits, frames, titles. I imagine who approved this is going to be the 8.3 update title. Time camouflages, daily rewards for September and October. I gotta check and see if his special skill, his Dauntless Die Plus, has been debugged. But Richard Best for a hybrid CV or American aircraft carriers, unfortunately, is a nice commander. Tier 5 Premium Rio de Janeiro. Guys, if you don't have the ship, it's an absolute blast to play at Tier 5. So I'm not too upset to see it pop in here. Alright. New warships coming into the game. One I'm looking very forward to is getting Tennessee in. At Tier 8, sounds like she's a tank, slow, with good accuracy and nice damage on its main guns. Connecticut, like I said, is a variant of Nebraska. Slightly lower caliber main battery, but faster reloads, and sounds like strong anti-air. We'll have to see how that one looks. The German Tier 9 destroyer. Sounds like it's a... Honestly, it sounds like it's a support destroyer more than anything else, because it says her raw damage output is modest, but tactical utility and agility make her a valuable team asset. Again, I haven't seen the ship in action yet, so I'm real curious to see how that one looks. This Spanish cruiser. Sounds like we got another interesting combat instruction flavor coming out here with a unique alternate firing mode that modifies shell behavior for situational precision. Maybe combat instruction, maybe a variation of burst fire, I don't know. But I'm real curious to see how that one works. Oh, it looks. Hildebrand and Shinano and Black Haku and Arise 2059. Like I said, guys, I mean, we can read in the descriptions how strong they sound. I'm not going doom and gloom on them yet. I am not going doom and gloom on them yet. I want to see how they release first. I know there's been a lot of work on these ships in the background, so we just have to wait and see how they come out. Besides that, the Soviet super battleship sounds like she's going to be wildly inaccurate until you can activate her combat instructions when main battery hits, and then she's going to have great accuracy and main battery range. Real curious to see how that one comes out. All right, guys. I know the flight decks are bothering people, but let's talk about the good things in this update. First off, we're getting a little optimization on how the game looks with certain maps. That's a nice little upgrade. Make things look a little nicer for us. The tutorial overhaul, I'm not sure about that one. I really don't want to start a new account up just to look at that. UI enhancements. I mean, for the most part, the UI enhancements haven't been that bad. I've kind of liked them, so I'm curious to see how that looks. A reporting system for players. I see how this is a really good thing, but I also see how this is going to get abused by certain people, and I think some of us know who we're talking about. There's some players out there that have abused the reporting system as is, and seeing that now you can report players outside of battle via player profiles for abusive offensive language, advertisements, abusive or offensive names, and fraudulent information. And you could be able to add a little feedback up to it, why you think it's offensive or fraudulent or abusive. Something to remember, guys. Just because you disagree with it doesn't necessarily mean it's fraudulent information. Yeah, I can see this one. I can see this one getting abused by players, just because someone puts in a thing that to some person sounds like a political endorsement of a certain thing, and somebody that's on the opposite political spectrum not liking it. For saying maybe you like looking at the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads because she's wearing jeans, and maybe you like the way she looks in them. Unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of people on the other side going, that's offensive. So I can see this being abused. So let's hope for the best on that one. It's good to see, though, in game. It's really good to see in game that there's an ability to report players outside of battles without having to do a support ticket. Really nice. Tournament enhancements. Support for multi-choice selection boxes and tournament settings has been added. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of pick our rewards when we get the next tournament up. I know none of us want to see more crates out, but having to drop probability details if they're displayed openly on the commander crates, I'm all for it. I didn't know this, but because I play on Apple devices, but a lot of people that play on Android throw an app in the background, listen to music while they're playing, and the game was stop the background apps from playing. That's going to get fixed. A big one here, guys. And props to the dev team and the super testers on this one. There was a lot of back and forth about this. The super testers sent proposals to buff ships. The dev team looked at it. There was some back and forth trying to refine things and make ships a little bit better in the game. Is it perfect? No, but it's a big step, guys. It's a real big step. The German battleships, both lines getting buffs. Schlieffen line, getting a concealment buff, acceleration buff, and having better turn time. The Grosser Kurfürst line, getting better dispersion, desperately needed on some of those ships. A big buff here. I mean, the Marseille line was playable as is, but there certainly wasn't a fun ship to play. Getting the main battery reload time reduced by 23% and having that secondary time reload time reduced by 10%, that's a pretty big buff for that ship. It's not going to make it meta by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to make it a lot more comfortable to play, I think. The American Destroyer line. Across the board bump on the tech trees. 30% more AA. Time to full speed. So they're going to accelerate by 10% better. They're going to turn 8% better. The British Destroyer line. You know, in the hands of some players, these are absolutely frightening ships to see. But in the hands of other players, you know, at 10% HP increase, I can see it being warranted. Having a little faster torpedo speed to make some, you know, somebody launches a Doom Spear, and maybe it'll help some people hit those. Having a reload time reducing those torpedoes. I can see why that happened. On the premium side of British destroyers, Campbelltown, Gallant, Cossack, all getting torpedo speed increases. This Tier 10 French destroyer. I played it on the press account. I thought it was kind of fun, but I could see the main battery reload time getting reduced is going to make this thing a lot better, having a little more range on the main guns. The hit points, it's nice to see, and having the concealment dropped a little bit, really nice. Vampire 2, I don't know about this one. I don't think I've played the ship yet. I'll have to test it out. But nice seeing a nice reload reduction on the torpedoes. Main battery shell velocity increased. Having a little bump to the base AP and HE alpha. Nice. Having a little more AA bump. That's nice. A little bit better main battery range. Hector getting a 7-second reload time reduction for its torpedoes. OSHA. Nice to see that's a pretty healthy base torpedo damage boost there. The AA damage, it's a French destroyer going from 56 to 88. Really not going to help out too much. The Kid, getting a little concealment buff. Obviously, we're getting the acceleration and turn times. Getting better acceleration, better turn time. Decent buff to AA. Main battery increase, nice. The one here that I do have some questions about is Huron and Haida. Obviously, Haida needed a buff, and getting 7 seconds off the torpedo reload, getting that main battery shell velocity increase, getting 700 extra base hit points, really nice. Getting that buff to main battery range, super nice for the ship. Seeing Huron get the same treatment, I don't know about that. But I said I can't complain about seeing that ship get a buff. Sevastopol and the Black Sevastopol. Is it enough to make the ship good? I don't know. It's going to help it out to get the main battery firing range increased and getting a little bit extra AP alpha damage. Main thing, though, is getting the sigma value improved. So when we talk about ship's accuracy, that's the dispersion value. When we talk about sigma, that's how many shells are landing in the center of that dispersion oval. So actually getting a couple more shells on target is going to be really nice. Yoshino. 2-second reload buff there. A little bit better traverse speed. Concealment getting dropped a little bit. Again, main battery sigma value improved. So like I said, dispersion value doesn't change, but how many shells land in the middle of that oval will improve. Svea actually needed a buff. She needed a little extra DPM, so she's getting that with the main battery reload time. Little boost to the HE alpha and getting a little bit better concealment. Almirante Grau, she needed a buff badly. Getting over a second off the main battery reload time, that's certainly going to help. Congress. I kind of like Congress. I did pick it up during the, I guess the 4th of July event. Getting the main battery accuracy increase. So we're getting better dispersion and we're getting better sigma. Yeah, that's going to be real nice. Bagration, APHE alpha, a little bit boost to the small caliber A, better HE penetration, again, better sigma on the ship, really nice. Francesco, I can't even pronounce, I'm even going to try it, but that tier 7 Italian cruiser came into Blitz Pass. 8.8 seconds off the main battery reload, concealment improved, and a massive buff to the torpedo reload time. Kind of makes me wish I had the ship now. That one should be really fun. This one kind of cracked me up because I got to see a advanced copy of the patch notes, and I didn't catch the torpedo damage increase on Toulon. But having the AP or the main battery reload time reduced by 4 seconds and secondary gun reload time dropped by almost a second, really nice for that ship. It's going to be able to bully out tier 7 cruisers that much better. Miokin getting a slight buff. Tsurugi, I'm really going to have to test it out. 1.5 seconds off the main battery reload and AP penetration increased by 15% with a slight alpha increase to the AP damage. I don't know if that's enough for the ship. I said I really have to test that one out. Heisen getting a 3-second reload boost. That's going to be huge for that ship. I really like it. I think that might almost break the ship. Issei. Issei getting a little main battery increase and a little bit better prep time on its aircraft. Nice. Strasbourg. Strasbourg desperately needed this. Little HE and AP Alpha buff. Reload time dropped by 2.5 seconds and better dispersion. I don't know how we forgot to talk about Jean Bart, because it definitely could have used that treatment as well. And then the Tier 5 Texas getting a little 2.5 seconds off its main gun reload. Super nice. We're getting Arpeggio back. That's pretty cool. Normally there was some nice bundles that came along with that. And some of the commanders were really nice. The voice lines I could have dealt without, but there's some nice commanders in there. And seeing that we're going to have blitz challenges, a regatta, and a token event, I'm happy to see that. Extraordinary Ones. I've never heard of this MOBA. Guys, if you've played this, let me know what it's like, because I used to like playing around with MOBAs back in the day. So we're going to get some more unique commanders. Let's see. Collaboration exclusive commanders and their warships, each with their own themed portraits. Cool. More frames and titles, and hopefully some good events to come along with that. Like I said, guys, if you've played this game before, let me know how it is. I'm kind of curious. Now we're wrapping things up, though. This is what's next part here. Obviously, 8.3 brings back the super ship seasons. We got a nice little break from them for a little while. And I know they're voting on which super ships are coming back. I believe that was on the main Discord server. Looking ahead, they're looking at large-scale server-wide events. We've done this before where we had some server-specific milestones to try to reach, and kind of there was like a little cross-server battle on who reached the milestones the fastest. I'd love to see that come back again. All right, guys, behind the scenes, our team continues to focus on technical improvements across the board, performance stability, and systems to ensure smoother gameplay. They said they don't want to drive into the nitty-gritty here, but rest assured this work is laying the foundation for future enhancements. Guys, I asked earlier in this week to help pinpoint quality of life improvements and bug fixes. I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't think it was important. I'm not going to try to blow smoke up your rear ends and let's just toss out another thing to throw at them. I asked for a reason. More Dutch cruisers coming in. I'd have to check PC. You guys probably can tell me in the comments if that's a tech tree or a premium. And then obviously I know a lot of people complaining about this. A super ship aircraft carrier, the United States on the horizon. Guys, again, like I said, with the other carriers and flight decks coming in, let's see what they look like on release. So let's not focus on that right now. Let's focus on the nice stuff about this one, and we'll tackle the CVs when they get released to the game. Anyways, guys, this is almost 25 minutes. I like the update. I like where the game's starting to go now. Like I said in the beginning, when January